Chelsea Clinton has made it her mission to inspire young people through her books about notable women. The newest book in her She Persisted series is called She Persisted in Sports: American Olympians Who Changed the Game. So it tells stories of great female athletes like tennis champions Venus and Serena Williams, gold medal gymnast Simone Biles, and two-time World Cup winner, that's Mia Hamm. Chelsea Clinton is vice chair of the Clinton Foundation. She joins us first on CBS This Morning to discuss. Chelsea, good to see you. We're going to talk about your book in just a second, but first we want to talk about RGB, because I saw your parents over the weekend, RBG. So your dad was the one that appointed her to the Supreme Court, and your mom was the one, I saw an interview with your mom yesterday, who brought it to your dad's attention. So she was a big favorite in the Clinton household. I'm assuming that you got a chance to meet her at some point.
I did have the chance to meet Justice Ginsburg and remember when I was a little girl, when I was 13, and my dad nominated her, and just how excited I was, Gail. I mean, I had learned about Sandra Day O'Connor in, elementary school as being the first woman justice of the Supreme Court. And I don't think I quite realized there hadn't been a second until my father nominated Justice Ginsburg. And I knew that my mom had really advocated for her and just joined so many millions of Americans by being devastated by her passing on Friday evening.
Do you think the decision to replace her, the announcement of who the president is thinking, should wait until after the election? A lot of chatter about that on both sides.
Well, in 2016, when I was campaigning for my mom, I spoke, I think, every event, so hundreds of times, about how important the Supreme Court is, and how so much of certainly what I believe is important, whether I'm thinking about women's rights, civil rights, human rights, LGBTQ rights, or protecting the environment, was really going to be at least somewhat determined by who would be on the court. And I said this before Justice Scalia's passing and after Justice Scalia's passing. And after Justice Scalia's passing, would always say, of course his loss was a devastating personal tragedy for his family and his loved ones. We still, though, have to be focused on the Supreme Court in this election while acknowledging and respecting that. And I was accused by the right of dancing on Justice Scalia's grave and being disrespectful. And so I have a little bit of whiplash, admittedly, over the last 48 hours, because the reactions certainly don't appear to me to be consistent. And I do believe that Senator McConnell certainly created a precedent when he refused a hearing for Judge Merrick Garland, and think, although I don't expect him to, but certainly think that he should abide by that.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of amnesia in Washington these days. We'll wait to see what's going to happen there. But listen, she would have been perfect. Well, listen, in your first book, She Persisted, you don't have a better role model for that book than Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And now you've turned your attention to sports. Number one, there were so many things I didn't know. I knew some of the athletes, but to hear their backstories, like Wilma Rudolph was born prematurely. She wore a leg brace, yet she became a champion runner. Kristi Yamaguchi was born with a club foot. She became a champion skater. And then, of course, Venus and Serena Williams confronted racism and sexism. They persisted. So your first line in the book says this: it's not easy to be a girl athlete. How come?
Well, I think for all of the women's stories you just shared and countless others, I mean, my grandmother, Gail, who was a huge influence on my mom and on me, spoke a lot about how inspired she'd been by two women that I am so honored to include in She Persisted in Sports. Babe Zaharias and Wilma Rudolph. And she spoke about just how much it inspired her as a middle-class Chicago housewife, seeing Wilma Rudolph so unapologetically be this fierce athlete and to represent our country in the Olympics, and that she had been a teenage mother, that she had overcome so many challenges in her young life, including multiple illnesses and sicknesses, and polio that kind of left her legs weakened. And so I grew up surrounded by these stories of women breaking barriers, including in sports, and it's never been easy. It still isn't easy, and yet we see our women athletes leading, like Naomi Osaka did so spectacularly at the U.S. Open, just a few days ago.
Hey, Chelsea, Tony DeCopel here. Books matter. This book will matter to a lot of readers, but sports matter too, and that's one of the messages of this book. You played soccer growing up. I think we have a picture of it. If we do, let's put it up on camera.
God.
There you are.
I'm so glad that I could just hear you and not see you, so I'm not seeing
You got good form.
The millions of people watching are seeing my awkward ears, but at least in my living room, I'm not seeing my.
You're welcome, Chelsea. Yeah.
So the question is,
thank you, Gail. Thank you. Thanks for looking out.
What did sports mean to you growing up?
Oh my gosh, I loved sports, and I played sports. I took ballet, and I found the camaraderie of being in a team, kind of learning how to work as a team, kind of learning how to be my best, both to be my best and to be the best for my team. Just such an invaluable set of lessons for when I was a kid and still today. And when I think about what I am missing out for my kids, and granted they're little, they're 1, 4, and 5, but I miss kind of the camaraderie that they're not having kind of in a classroom right now, that they're not able to have in a gymnastics class or a tennis class, or kind of just running around outside in a park. So I've been thinking a lot about how important sports are, and how excited I am for when we're through this moment, which I think is going to last a lot longer than any of us would hope or want.
Agree.
That will be part of my kids' lives in the future.
Agree. All I can say is, Chelsea, at least people wanted you on their team. Nobody wanted me, so I'm still scarred. You can't see it, but
I don't believe that. Well,
it's true.
I don't believe that.
It's true. You can't see it, but I'm holding up the book right now so everybody can see the thing. And Drew Barrymore, who just started her new talk show last week, announced on the air that she had read this book to her daughter. So I thought that was a very sweet shout out to you. You say it's for young girls and young people, but really, people of all ages can get something out of this book, I promise. Chelsea, really good to see you. Really good. It's called
Thank you so much, Gail. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, always. She Persisted in Sports goes on sale tomorrow, wherever you like to buy your books.
We're glad you're on our team, Gail.
Yeah.